And up next,
The cylinder goes into the square hole. Put it in the
I
square
think
hole.
that
Square,
goes in
square, square, square.
square
Yes,
hole.
there we go. Squares are the best. It's quick to set up and a lot easier to visualize than, for example, a sphere on a grid. But D&D 5th edition seems to disagree with me. They like spheres and cones and lines. But let's be honest, they did a very bad job with these shapes. Welcome to Pack Tactics, where we love squares. But do you know who else loves squares? This video is sponsored by the Dragon's Bank Heist, where you steal an egg from the Platinum Bank. A dragon egg, that is. This is a level 10 to 15 adventure where you get to fly an airship to a volcano. But be careful, friends. Some of the encounter strategies in this adventure are inspired by my spell videos. I've heard there's a nasty encounter where the kobolds combo spike growth and plant growth together. There's even a boss that can command their allies to take multiple actions in a turn, and that includes spells. A good DM beats their players after all, and now you've got the tools. But there's more. Custom tokens, maps, feats, backgrounds, 6 magic items, and a new rogue subclass. The rogue subclass has some really fun features like casting major image and animate objects at higher levels. And then there's a creative feature that lets you change the environment by painting. It's like Conjuration and Illusion Wizard put together in a rogue subclass. Now for the best part. This adventure offers up to 20 hours worth of gameplay in only 40 pages. And not only does it respect the DM's time by just getting to the point, but you can also get an editor's edition that makes your job a million times easier. You don't need any side notes or anything because you can write directly in the adventure instead. This is the most DM-friendly adventure I've ever seen. And you can get this adventure for $10, and the editor's set for 15. So what are you waiting for? Check out the link in the description or comments for an incredible adventure that's easy to run. I highly recommend it. Back to the video. Area of effect rules. They're so bad. Like, it's insane. I could do an entire video picking them apart, but that's not good for my sanity or yours, so let me just summarize everything. The rules for AOE are divided up across 3 books: the Player Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and Xanathar's. I know the rules in Xanathar's are technically optional, but I'll get into that soon. For some reason, the rules about AoEs in the Player Handbook are in the spellcasting chapter, but there's more kinds of AoEs. Dragonborns have breath weapons, for example, and those are not spells. And this is probably the worst offense out of them all. The rules are not first and foremost written from the perspective of playing on a grid, even though if you buy any official adventure, you will get battle maps with grids. You need Xanathar's for actual rules written that way. It's so messy to try to figure out how to even play without the optional rules in Xanathar's on a grid. Why do we need another book to do it properly? Why is it not the other way around? Don't even talk to me about putting a quarter of a cube on another square to affect more squares per square, because the DMG only limits circular AoEs. I hate these rules, and that works with Xanathar's template method too. But Kobold! These rules can literally not be improved! It's too difficult! 4th edition literally has better AoE rules. Oh no! The big evil book! 4E bad! Too video gamey! Gator, who told you it was bad and too video gamey? The memes told me! Oh, the memes. Well, anyways, the Necronomicon that everyone fears figured it out. First of all, they don't even have cones or lines. Thank Tiamat. Those two in 5e are just cursed. They may work if you make one template for cardinal directions, and then one for like 45 degrees. But in general, it's just a hassle. There's better methods. To explain 4th edition, most AoEs use one of 3 types: blast, burst, or a wall. The way they are placed depends on the type of attack. Either a close attack or an area attack. A close attack comes from you directly. An area attack originates a distance away from you. When I say attack, think of an effect that forces a save. Usually a close attack is either a blast or a burst. For blasts, think of Thunderwave. It fits an area adjacent to one of the squares of your space like this. This is a close blast 3, as in 3 squares. A burst is similar. Think of something like Spirit Guardians. There it extends in all directions from the origin. So something like this. Obviously Spirit Guardians is bigger than this, but you get the point. For a target to be affected, there must be a line of effect from the origin square to the target. So similar to 5e, an imaginary line that you can trace to the target without an obstacle. Area attacks are usually a burst or a wall. Here you can decide the origin based on the attack's range. If you have an area burst 6, the origin can be closer than 6 squares to you as well, though you need a line of effect of the origin square. A good thing is that a burst effect usually doesn't affect the user. For a target to be affected by an area attack, there needs to be a line of effect from the origin square to the target. Pretty easy peasy.
But Kobold, what about walls? Are those not defined properly?
A wall fills a specified number of contiguous squares within range, starting from an origin square. Each square of the wall must share a side, not just a corner, with at least one other square of the wall. But a square can share no more than 2 sides with other squares in a wall. This limitation does not apply when stacking squares on top of each other. You can shape the walls however you like within those limitations. A solid wall, such as a wall of ice, cannot be created in occupied squares.
So there's no fireball in 4th edition. Everything looks like a square, like Minecraft.
Of course, Fireball exists in 4th edition. Anyways, 4th edition grids work the same way as they do with 5th edition by default. So diagonal and non-diagonal are the same basically. If you don't know what I mean with that, let me quickly explain. In 5th edition, if you play on a grid without optional rules that change this fact, circles look like squares because each square represents 5 feet. This way, you cannot move out of a fog cloud with a 20-foot radius by moving 15 feet. Circles are squares. I made a short about this in the past. By the way, I really don't understand why people got upset about circles being squares, because you get exactly the same result anyways. If I called it a homebrew rule, then everyone would say that's a good idea. Oh, a fireball. That's a 20-foot radius, so it's an 8x8. So you then draw an 8x8. Anyways, I'm a big fan of 4th edition making this a lot easier to understand because I'm a big fan of squares and cubic effects. They make it super easy to see how many targets you will have with your effect before your turn. Even with templates, squares are just simpler. I don't really care if my fireballs appear as fire cubes because of that quirk. The fireball, no matter what, is gonna go into the square hole. Squares are just simpler like Minecraft, and I like Minecraft. So yeah, 1D&D, please go back to how 4th edition did AOEs. Obviously, they do need to change some stuff up, but it would make the game so much clearer and so much easier and quicker to put down AOE spells. Anyways, I'm tired and going to bed. End of video. Check out the Dragon's Bank Heist. I highly recommend it. An adventure that lasts up to 20 hours and only 40 pages is incredible. And not only that, this is probably the most DM-friendly adventure I've ever seen for 5th edition. The link is in the description and comments. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.